Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.wordpress.com. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we're in the last week of Sale-a-bration, so I thought we'd have a little look again at some of the stamp sets that you can earn for free up until the end of February with a £45 order, or a minimum of a £45 order. Okay, so this is the card we're making. This is actually part of a colour challenge as well, but I wanted to incorporate as many Sale-a-bration items as I could. So the background there and the sentiment come from A Touch of Ink. This is one that will, it's a large stamp set, so this one's going to be free with a £90 order. And then the main detail is from Corner Bouquet. Okay, so this one didn't immediately jump out at me in the Sale-a-bration catalogue, but actually it's really pretty. So we're going to make something with that today. Okay, put that to one side. So the colourway, by the way, is Bumblebee, Granny Apple Green and Flirty Flamingo. Okay, so we're going to change up things just a little bit in the way I did the corner here. So I've already got my little white layer. This measures 3 inches across by 4 3/4 high, and I've just put it into my Stamparatus tool and put my corner stamp in position. And on my original sample I actually just decided to go with ink pads in there and wipe away some of the excess, go over it a little bit with one of the markers, and it just came out a little bit on the muddy side. So I'm going for using this technique instead for this particular sample. This is quite a large image to cover with a marker, so I'm going to do it reasonably quickly, avoiding the little flower heads as much as possible. There are some lower down in the stamp as well. And I'm just using the brush end of the marker to apply that ink. Just observing where those little details are. And the chances are with this technique that you need to go over it twice, which is another reason for using the Stamparatus. So not only are we going to use 2 colours of ink, but we might need to double stamp it. Okay, so I'm just going to go over some of these little bits again. It might have dried. We'll stamp it over, and because we've got our Stamparatus and our magnet in place, we can actually stamp that, reposition it, and we can go again on certain portions or all of it or whatever we like, really. So what I think I'm going to do is just not be quite so fussy with this bit, just go over it just a little more so we get kind of a interesting effect. That should do it. Did want those seed heads to be done, you know, like there's poppy seed heads in there. And there we go. Okay, so that's looking smashing. So what we can do is use our stamping chamois. The stamping chamois is really useful for this kind of thing because I can take it straight to the stamp, whereas the stamping scrub is sort of a static thing. It's not easy to move around like that. So now I'm going to bring in Flirty Flamingo. And go over those flower portions. I'm not going to worry if a little bit goes on stalks here and there. It'll be wonderful. Don't think that's stamped actually, but I'll just cover it over anyway. these two here. Did we get them all? Possibly. We'll soon find out. Well, looks a bit dry. So it does dry reasonably quickly, as you might expect. So the double stamping is going to be really useful here, just to intensify that colour. That one didn't stamp, did it? No. That's if you want it more intensified. You might like that look, that sort of washed out look. If you want it more intense, just go over it again. Okay, I might do that big one again. There we go. So we've actually ended up doing that one 3 times, but that looks really, really pretty, I think. So that is it for that. We can bring in our chamois once more to get that nice and clean, so we can put it away. That's just damp, not wringing wet, just damp. And there's just a little bit of the stamping mist, the cleaning mist on there. So that's our first portion, and then just to change it up a little bit, which I forgot to mount up, didn't take it out the thing. I think I'm just going to add just a hint of this in the top corner as well. Felt like the top was missing something, so we'll bring in one of our D blocks and we'll fit that on like that. Bring in our granny apple green ink pad. Get that well inked, and we'll just drop that in about there. Just want to make sure the corner's covered, just to add something into the corner. There are some flower stems in there, but I don't think it particularly matters on this occasion if they're a little bit on the upside down. Okay, so we can now start layering together some pieces. So this is going to go onto a layer of Flirty Flamingos. This is 1/8 of an inch larger. So bringing in my stamp and seal for that. That's ready to go. But I've got a bumblebee card base here. Now I want to do a little bit of background stamping, so I'm bringing in the infill image from the Touch of Ink, just to create a little bit of an interesting pattern around the edge of the card. And this time I'm going to stamp off. I didn't do that on the original, felt like it was a bit heavy, so we're going to stamp off in between times to get this more mottled look. So a lot of that's going to be covered up, so I'm not concerned about the middle per se. I just want that sort of 1/4 of an inch around the edge to have some interest. It's not particularly looking for detail or anything, I just want some interest around the edge. Okay, so I've got a piece of Whisper White, basic white I should say. Oh, I'm going to have to get out of the habit of calling it that, aren't I? So this is a larger layer than I used on my original sample. The bumblebee colour whilst beautiful, is quite strong. So I want it to be there, but I don't want it to overpower the rest of my card. And then on the original as well, I had this flat. Do I still want it flat? Now let's raise it up, just so you can see the difference really. So my wonderful dimensionals. I'm going to go over there, and before I tack that down, I need some ribbon, which I've put down. This is the Bumblebee in colour ribbon. I'm going to take about that much, which is roughly 16 inches, which is going to be way more than we actually need. And we're going to loop that around our card. And I just like to tack it in place on the back, just while just to hold it down really, and we'll tie it after. Take off the back ends, really easy to do. If you do struggle with this, or you don't have fingernails or whatever, the take your pick tool is really good for that. So we're going to centre that on top of this white layer. Somewhere about there. Okay. I'm not going to tie that until I've got my sentiment done. So I'm just going to use a scrap piece of cardstock. There we are, that will do. We're going to use Bumblebee ink and the Best Wishes sentiment from the Touch of Ink stamp set. Light tapping on there, and we will stamp that. And I'm going to just put one there just in case. And I'm going to bring in one of the stitched rectangle dies to cut this out. I'm going to use some washi tape to get that lined up and hold it in place while we die cut that. I do like the stitched dies, they do add a lovely little detail to your card. This is also going to have dimensionals on the back, so we'll just get those out. And I just want to have them sort of more top and bottom, so that they kind of straddle the ribbon. Dimensional's lost its back, so we'll put him in. So this will help keep our ribbon in place on the front of the card as well. And that will be it done. Oh, I'm going to add some sparkles though, I think that might have been what was missing on my original actually. Just going to pull that across, line it up with the edge of my card layer, and then we can tie our knot. Could be a bow if you wanted a bow, but knots can look just as pretty. Just adds a bit of texture. Trim that down, and if we just add one or two, well, I say one or two, you know it's going to be three, right? We're going to add 3 of our rhinestones just to make all that just pop a little bit. Like so, very simple, and restricted with the colour choices and stuff, but I think that's turned out really nicely. Can't find my original sample card. I buried it under here. Yep. So this was the original sample, and I think toning back the bumblebee has actually been quite beneficial there. I think it's let all the other elements come out a little bit more, and I do prefer the technique with the markers because the Flirty Flamingo has come out as a brighter colour. This one's got the added dimensional elements to it as well, so much lighter, brighter card. But you know, everyone is different, everyone has their own taste. So I just wanted to show you a slight variation on that theme. I hope that's been useful for you and you've enjoyed that. Please do click on the description bar. There will be a list of all the products I've used and links to my online store and other social media. Please do take a look. Final reminder, last week of Sale-a-bration, so any of the stamps that I've used today are not going to be available beyond the end of February, so if you want them you need to get in quick. Okay, I'll love you and leave you. Take care everybody, please do stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.